At the peak of his career as the preeminent historian of the American frontier, Frederick Jackson Turner turned to the regional specifics of those dynamics that he believed explained American development. Georgia occupied a particular place in his thinking. What Maine was to the New England states, Georgia was to the southern seaboard, with the difference that it was deeply touched by influences characteristically Western. Because the traits of her leaders and the rude, aggressive policies of her people, Georgia belonged as much to the West as to the South. From colonial times, the Georgia settlers had been engaged in an almost incessant struggle against the savages on her border and had the instincts of a frontier society. A long view of the state's history lends substantial support to his claim. Yet that distant aspect neglects to recognize that the colony, if not the state, came into being around high principles unusual for the time, however much it also served as a defensive buffer to Spanish Florida. The fact that the founding trustees sought to settle England's increasingly landless and desperate poor on free lands that would allow them to pursue the independence associated with yeoman farmers is well known, both in principle and in its rapid dissolution. So, too, the short-lived ban on enslavement. Less appreciated and perhaps more instructive, as a case of high intentions gone unremarked, is that of the Ebenezer colony. Karen Orman's The Good Forest, the Salzburgers' Success, and the Plan for Georgia tells a different story of the state, at least across its early decades. The 45 German Lutherans who arrived on the coast in 1734 were a different sort of desperate than the 114 English whom Oglethorpe had disembarked near what would become Savannah in the winter of 1733. Persecuted for their Protestant faith in Catholic Salzburg, the Georgia trustees' promise of 50-acre freeholds by which to pursue competency seemed biblical in promise. Much more than their English neighbors, the Salzburger colonists embraced to the colony's founding principles and proved themselves worthy.